And somebody brought up, they're like, well, that Warriors-Mavs game, that had nothing to do with the NBA Cup.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't because the court was different. It was the whole Klay Thompson aspect of it, I think, that made that a huge game. But no, I think that as this goes on and as more teams win it, I think it's going to continue to kind of be something that people look forward to. I think it'll adapt throughout. I would love, because right now, I think that one of the problems of people getting into it is that, like, the NBA Cup, it's supposed to be this in-season tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the Warriors and Mavs have already played an NBA Cup game, and the Kings haven't. And now the Kings are playing one. I think you need to chunk it out where it's like, okay, these for this week, every game in this week is an NBA Cup game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all happens at once. I know they're trying to stretch it out, but I think that would help a lot, is if just, hey, this week it is NBA Cup week. I think that would help getting people into it.
Yeah, I think that might help, but they want to make sure they have Tuesday and Friday. Those are the 2 cup days.
Okay.
So that's so for whatever reason they've made that decision. I'm kind of with you. I like if it was like a March Madness, like the build up to March Madness week. But I don't think that there's a lot of ways that they can mess this up. Like, it just, for whatever reason, it's captured the imagination of the players early on. Mm-hmm. Like, the new uniforms the Kings are going to be wearing tonight are crazy cool.
They're sick.
Yeah, like the old style throwback. I mean, he kind of looks like Humpty Dumpty. Like the big
new
patch.
Mascot is insane.
Yeah.
Is that real?
Yes, it's
real. Is that
real.
a thing that's going to be walking around Golden One Center tonight?
I believe that it is.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I believe that it is.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. But the gear is cool. Like, I popped in the team store yesterday.
It's so sick.
I think most of it's going to sell out super quick. Like, if you're not there today or tomorrow, I don't think you're going to be able to get any of the like sort of the
I
gear
love the
that they have
bomber
now.
jacket. It's got it says Cincinnati Royals on it with the old logo on the chest.
Oh yeah.
Outstanding. Really, really cool. I have a question, and I'm going to throw this at Kings fans specifically, because I think this varies by fan base. Would you rather win the NBA Cup, but you exit the playoffs in the first round? For the sake of this exercise, the Kings make the playoffs.
Okay.
You can win the NBA Cup and be a first round exit, or you cannot make the quarterfinals. You're out after group play in the NBA Cup, but you go to the second round.
Well, I want that second round.
Even if you're losing in the second round, you'll take the second round over the NBA Cup.
Yeah, because I mean, the NBA Cup is cool, but what do you do? I mean, you're not going to hang a banner for an NBA Cup.
You do, though. You do.
I don't know.
The Lakers did a whole thing. I think Adam Silver mandated it.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. Like, I know, like, watching European soccer, there's all of these cups that they play during the season. And, like, Man U's head coach kept holding on to the fact that, hey, I won a couple of cups. It's like, hey, but the cups don't really matter. And your team was bad. Mm-hmm. And now you're bad to start the season. And, it doesn't matter if you won a couple of cup games here and there. You got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's fair. David and Sal both say second round for sure. Drew Down says second round. I think that's probably right.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think what winning the NBA Cup would provide is an optimism that, the Kings are now in this tier of team. Because en route to that, you're going to have to win some tough games. Whether that's against OKC or Boston or Cleveland, or you're in the quarterfinals and the semifinals and the final, you're probably going to be playing a pretty good team, if not a championship contender. And so if you're overcoming all of that, then coming out of the NBA Cup and be like, wow, okay, first of all, cool thing. That's fun. But second of all, man, look at the path to get there. They won all these games. And now, because it's single elimination starting in the quarterfinals. So to win the NBA Cup, you got to win 3 games in a row just regardless. So you'd be on a little winning streak. You'd probably beat some good teams. There would be so much optimism coming out of the NBA Cup if the Kings were to win it, that I think if they were to move forward and then go exit in the first round, it's like, well, that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I'd also look at last season, what the Lakers won, and I didn't think because the Lakers won the cup that they were a contender.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
a good
didn't.
point.
I just
No, that's
looked
a
at
good
them.
point.
It didn't change my outlook on them as a team at all.
Yeah,
at all.
No, that's fair. I just wondered. I was trying to get a gauge. I asked that because I was trying to get a gauge of what, how important is this? Is it just an exciting thing that doesn't really mean a lot?
Yeah,
because that's what it comes down to. I think is the court is different, the vibe's a little bit different. Like last year, Oklahoma City was their first NBA Cup game here at Golden One, and the vibe was a little different.
mm-hmm.
And then their other one was against the Warriors, and it was that one that they needed to like lose by less than 11, and they had the big comeback and they beat the Warriors. But again, that to me, the excitement over that wasn't, oh, they're moving on in the NBA Cup. It was, oh, they finally beat Golden State. They had this huge comeback and beat Golden State.
Okay,
so I kind of wonder where the balance is. Like there's a level of excitement, but I think it's going to cap at some point.
I get you, but I really like the way that the vibe of that specific game that you're bringing up, because
the Warriors one,
yeah. Because the Kings are getting blown out, and then you see them like okay, we just have to get it to within
11,
and so that's it. But then you started build momentum, and so I think having like the point differential thing, it does actually add a new element to regular season games, where you could see a game like tonight where one of these two teams could get up on the other team, and then one team might keep fighting, and the other team might like, oh no, we're gonna try to win this by 30, and you're gonna be out. There's no way for you to recover in the cup, sort of in the point standings, and we're just gonna keep running up the score. I could see this get a little chippy, and also I think it's kind of fun, the whole running up the score thing.
Yeah. What if I change it to NBA Cup with there's no cap or guarantee on playoffs either way? You're winning the NBA Cup, but you might miss the playoffs. You might win the championship. Or you cannot make the quarterfinals, and I guarantee you go to the second round. You're going to lose in the second round, but I guarantee you the second round.
I mean, I think for this year's Kings, a guaranteed second round, you'd probably take that.
Yeah.
But I think overall, like this team does have like larger aspirations. Like, don't look at their record right now, and their record's fine right now. 7-5 is fine. But I think they also have this idea of who they can be this season, and they wouldn't want to cap themselves.
What would you take?
Are
you optimistic that they could do better than the second round? You get the NBA Cup win. Hey, vibes are good. We would have so much fun with that. Dude, can you imagine this show if the Kings were in the NBA Cup semifinal in Vegas?
It'd be a lot of fun.
It would be so much fun.
Yeah.
That's kind of why. That's why. But then there's that part of me that goes, man, a second round playoff series, like a playoff series win, that's way more fun. Because that's minimum 4 games of this is awesome. We're having a great time.
No, totally. And like, look,
you're going to the second round. You're taking a step.
I think you look at this season, and why would anyone think the Western Conference is wide open? Like OKC was, like, in my mind, was way up above everybody. Like I thought, oh, they're going to run away with the West. It doesn't mean they're going to represent the West in the finals, but they're going to run away with it. And then all of a sudden the injuries hit. And so now Chet's out. I mean, we don't even know. We have no idea when Chet will be back, if he'll even play again this season.
Yeah, Chet's out, and all they've done is beat the Clippers by 6 and beat the Pelicans by 18.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I mean, I think we all know at this point the Pelicans are just no good at all.
They are rough, dude.
Yeah, they're in a tough spot. But you know what I'm saying? Like, this Western Conference is wide open. I mean, are the Warriors legit? Is that smoke and mirrors? And if it is, can they keep it up all season long? I mean, again, Steve Kerr is doing a magnificent coaching job. But who are the Denver Nuggets? And can they keep up with their injuries?
And can Jokic continue averaging? I think it's 30, 14, and 12 he's averaging right now.
Jeez.
My question is not whether Jokic can average 30, 14, and 12 for a season. It's if he can do that and stay healthy for 80 games.
That's incredible. He's at 29-7. He's leading the league in assists and rebounds.
And just doing that because they need him to.
playing 38 minutes a night.
I just don't. You want to talk sustainable? I don't know how sustainable that
He's
is.
shooting 56.4% from 3. What is happening? Check this out. 56.4% from 3, 56.3% overall. He basically is shooting the same thing. He's shooting 56.2 from 2, 56.4 from 3.
Yeah.
Talk about consistent.
He's just a gangster, dude.
He is so good.
Hey, can you be a little bit more the best player in the league? Like, yeah, I got it.
Well,
you might just go win a 4th MVP.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
But look at Christian Brown, who's sitting there averaging 16.3 points on 50% shooting from 3. Like they found
on what volume?
3.4 a game.
Oh,
yeah,
not bad.
They're finding themselves, and like again, this is going to be a tough team.
Yeah.
Wild.
I want to put a pin in the NBA Cup stuff for a bit. We'll have more of that coming up here in a second with the Kings taking on the Timberwolves at Golden One Center tonight. We'll dive into that. But real quick, I want to get into Thursday Night Football last night. Wasn't great. I don't want to talk about the game that much because I did not think it was a particularly compelling contest. But Washington losing was good for the 49ers. If you're trying to map playoff scenarios for San Francisco, that means the number 7 seed, the final wild card, now has 4 losses, same amount as the 49ers. And that just kind of increases the urgency of this week against Seattle for the Niners, and we'll get into that game as well. But there was a time just a couple weeks ago. Now, granted, it was still early. It wasn't like, oh my God, everything's a mess. But there was a time a couple weeks ago where you were looking at Philly and Minnesota and Green Bay and going, man, the wild card might need to be like 11-6.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a really, really tough path for a team like San Francisco that went 4-4 through their first 8 games to find a wild card. Well, now you have Green Bay with 3 losses. You have the Vikings are not playing as well.
Uh-huh.
And you have the Commanders who have lost a couple in a row now, barely beat the Bears. And Jaden Daniels is dealing with a rib injury. He hasn't been as good since. And now they're sitting at 4 losses.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good news if you're a 49er fan last night that Washington lost that game.
Yeah, I initially thought that Washington was going to be a really, really – I thought it was going to be a good game. Washington went down and, I mean, they were running the ball well.
Mm-hmm.
They went right down and scored, and you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be – it's
like
game on,
mm-hmm.
right? And then they just kind of folded.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, number one, Philly is proving, again, that they're back.
They're really talented.
Yeah, and I don't know if, what they're going to look like in, next month. When things really start to get tight towards the end of the season. But certainly Saquon Barkley has added such a crazy element to that franchise, and he just makes him so dynamic.
Yeah.
And like, talk about a revival of a career, just totally crazy to watch. But all of a sudden they're in the conversation with Detroit of, the best teams in the NFC. It's really, it's intriguing. Like, I don't know what's going to happen here with these teams, but I think it was a pretty poor showing on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, not great, especially for Washington. Saquon averaging more yards before contact this year than he averaged in a season with the Giants.
Oh,
that's tough. That's really tough.
I'm glad for him that he was able to get out of there and reboot his career.
He didn't want to get out of there. The Giants didn't want him.
Yeah, that's wild.
Insane. Totally insane.
Yeah, totally insane.
Ridiculous. We'll talk more about the NFL. The 49ers have a huge game coming up against the Seahawks on Sunday. The Raiders back in action as well on Sunday. They are taking on the Miami Dolphins down in South Beach. Actually, Jesse Tapia, our very own, going to be in the building.
Yeah,
going to be doing some coaching on the sideline for the Dolphins. Salute to Jesse. We will get into that. And, of course, coming up at 10:30, Fantasy Friday with Faraz Siddiqui of Upper Hand Fantasy, answering your fantasy questions. Hit us up at youtube.com/ESPN1320, twitch.tv/ESPN1320. Dial in your fantasy questions, and Faraz Siddiqui will answer those and help you get wins as we near the fantasy playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Start stacking W's now, and Faraz will get your team right. That's coming up at 10:30. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We are sponsored by Jiffy Lube. The Sacramento Kings open the Emirates NBA Cup group stage tonight at Golden One Center against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves, of course, won the Kings season opener at Golden One, 117-115. Julius Randle had a huge game. I think he went 5 of 6 from 3.
Yeah, he was really, really, really good.
You want to know an annoying thing?
Uh-oh.
Julius Randle hit 5 threes in that game. He hasn't hit more than 3 threes in a game this season.
Of course he hasn't.
He's shooting like 31% since that game.
Yeah,
but he cashed 5 of 6 against the Kings because why not?
It's one of those players though that the Kings have a tough time with. You know, we talked about it early on in the season. The big, strong, offensive-minded power forward, you know, wing guy, whether it's LeBron or whether it's Julius Randle. There's a handful of guys like this in the league, even Zion, that the Kings just typically struggle with. So I want to see how they deal with him a second time around.
I was thinking about this because you brought this up with John Collins as well. Like John Collins, the Kings beat the heck out of the Jazz, but John Collins played really well. And I've been thinking about it a lot since then because we talk about the Kings needing perimeter defense and size and athleticism and all this stuff. The fact of the matter is, though, like there's just Julius Randle is a body type with a skill set that's just like hard to stop. He's not a great shooter. I don't think he affects winning that much. But when it comes to putting the ball in the hoop, like he's really good at it.
Oh, no, he is.
It's not a Kings specific problem that like, oh, they don't have a 6'11 Haas that can stay in front of Julius Randle. No, like that's okay. It's not. And so because part of me wanted to get into the roster and why the roster struggles with guys like Julius Randle, but it's like, hey, you know what? I don't know that there's a lot of players in the league who guard Julius Randle super effectively. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like he is a very, very difficult cover in the league.
Yeah, they could, and the Kings could be better. Like their roster's not perfect, and we talk about that all the time. But it's not like, wow, every team has a guy who can stop Julius Randle, and somehow the Kings don't. Like, nah, man. It just guys at that size who move that way are tough to stop, and that's why they're in the NBA scoring a lot of points.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing too is what is Mike Brown going to do tonight with his starting lineup? Because we have this issue that DeMar DeRozan is doubtful for the game, and I'm intrigued to see what exactly he does here, because a guy that you might end up putting out on Julius Randle for long stretches is Trey Lyles. And all of a sudden Trey Lyles he's a different player tonight than he was early in the season. So could this be one of those games where you look at the matchups and go, hey, look, I think I feel more comfortable starting the game with a guy like Trey on the court alongside Sabonis, with Keegan Murray sliding over to the 3. So he can defend, so it's, he's going to be defending Anthony Edwards most of the night anyways. So I could see a world in which they try that. I could also see where they run their same starters out there and just throw Keon Ellis in, move Kevin Huerter to the small forward spot. Jaden McDaniels isn't a huge offensive threat. He can be, but he's not just a crazy, crazy offensive threat. And I think Kevin Huerter can kind of hold his own over there. But I think it adds like an element to this game if DeRozan doesn't play.
So let's get to some Kings starters against Minnesota. Minnesota quietly dropped 3 in a row, including 2 in a row against Portland.
It's wild.
Not playing great right now. The Kings, we're projecting Fox, Huerter, DeRozan, Murray, and Sabonis. If if DeRozan is not available, how are you playing that?
Yeah, I think I probably, like for me, I think there are 2 ways you can go. You can throw Keon Ellis and start Keon Ellis against Anthony Edwards and then leave Keegan Murray over to defend Julius Randle, and maybe that works, right? Or you can mix everything up, like we were just talking about. Throw Trey Lyles in, have him defend a bigger guy in Julius Randle. But the problem in that scenario is that Naz Reid is incredible coming off the bench. Naz Reid is absolutely blowing up for this team. Last year he won the 6th man of the year when realistically Malik Monk should have. But this year I think Naz Reid is probably the odds-on favorite to win it. He's been like spectacular shooting, like his shooting numbers are off the charts. Yeah. He's averaging 15.5 points a game. He's been really good.
Yeah. I just, the issue, and we talked about this before the year, right? The issue with, if you want to mess around with putting Trey Lyles in the starting lineup, Alex Len is your size off the bench now.
Yeah.
And that's it. Hey, there's no, it's also difficult though, because of how they stagger the minutes with Randall and Ant, where I kind of maybe you just do that. Maybe you just match Trey Lyles minutes with Julius Randle's minutes, and that's how you're gonna roll.
Yeah.
But I think what you're saying is right. They've been so effective with Keon in the starting lineup that DeRozan doesn't play such a specific position that Keon can't just step in there. You slide Kevin Huerter over to the 3 and you're good to go.
Well, it's what they did coming out of half last time.
Yeah, they look great.
Last game. And it did look great. And, 38 assists on the night.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about the staggering of lineups, I think Mike Brown is, after we saw what happened last game with DeRozan going out, but I think even before DeRozan went out, we started to see him sort of switch Fox and DeRozan. They start together, but then they're not playing together a lot during the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to finish quarters together. They're going to open quarters together, but and then they'll close the game together. But overall, you're going to have them kind of be like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
You're going to have, even like what we're going to see from this team, or Luka and Kyrie. The way that they have to stagger those guys' minutes for a certain amount of time. So you're maximizing who they are on the court, especially with Malik Monk out of action.
Yeah. Let's jump over to the Timberwolves, where Mike Conley figures to start.
Mm-hmm.
He sat out their last game against Portland
to rest, though.
I imagine he'll be back.
He is old.
Yeah. They need somebody to stand at the perimeter and give the ball to Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating watching.
He is 37 years old.
24 minutes a night, just all vibes for our guy Mike Conley. Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, and Rudy Gobert. That's going to be their starting 5. No injuries to report for the Minnesota Timberwolves. For the Kings, Malik Monk dealing with the ankle injury. He's still out. DeMar DeRozan is listed as doubtful after not practicing yesterday.
He was listed as doubtful. We were told that could change depending on how he responded to treatment. And they were kind of waiting to see. And we'll see what he looks like this morning when they show up for a shoot around. I would assume by maybe the 2:30, the 2:30 injury report, if he's been upgraded to questionable, then I would say that there's a good chance he's playing. If he's still listed as doubtful, probably not going to go, especially, look, the Kings play again tomorrow night, and they've got a back-to-back here with Utah, home and home back-to-back. And maybe there is a game where you sit him before playing 17 minutes the other night. DeMar DeRozan was leading the NBA in minutes played, and you do need to find ways to get that guy a little bit of a rest, and maybe it's this is how you do it.
Devin Carter also out. And then Orlando Robinson not listed on the injury report. But isn't he in Stockton? So could he still be here and play tonight?
Okay, well,
help me.
There's an interesting thing there. He's not listed as with the Stockton Kings. So, chances are we'll get one of those fun little
press release
tweets from the Kings where they send it out to the media group that says, Orlando Robinson has been recalled from the Stockton Kings. I would expect him to be in uniform tonight. He's not on the injury list at all, which is a big jump. He, again, spent time this week with Stockton. I don't think he played, but then again, I haven't been keeping tabs on what the Stockton Kings are doing all that much, except for Scal Labissiere is blowing up, which is our guy Scal. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Orlando Robinson on the bench. Whether that means he plays or not, who knows? Look, he was here for 4 or 5 days in Sacramento playing with the team before he went down with the knee injury. So he missed all of training camp. He's, basically in the same boat Trey Lyles is, except for he doesn't have 2 years of knowledge of the team building up to the season. So
sure.
Maybe there's an opportunity where he comes in the game and he puts up some, he gets 5 or 10 minutes. But I also think against a team like this where they've got Gobert, Alex Len makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah, no doubt. What's your matchup of the game here?
I think there's a couple of really, really good matchups. I would say specifically because DeRozan, I think, if he doesn't play, I think it's going to be McDaniels and Fox. McDaniels is going to basically hunt him the whole entire game. And that's not a good thing for the Kings because we're talking about a 6'9" guy with a crazy wingspan that can defend one of the fastest point guards in the league.
Yeah.
So De'Aaron's going to have to be aggressive and get him in foul trouble if he can. and sort of take it to him. And it's just a tough defender to do that with.
Yeah, and then I feel like we do this every game. Keegan against the other team's best opposing or the best perimeter player. That's Keegan against Anthony Edwards. He's the kind of engine that drives that entire thing. Going to be a really, really tough matchup for Keegan defensively.
Yeah, I mean, he's a tough matchup for everyone in the league.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah, he's an excellent offensive weapon.
Ascending superstar, Anthony Edwards. If you're hemming and hawing about whether to go to Golden One Center tonight, go to see Anthony Edwards.
Oh,
he's one of those players that you just want to see in person.
Yeah, he's super so fun, and he's not a complainer. He's not one of those guys that causes, you will enjoy watching him play.
No doubt. And we will enjoy continuing to talk about this game. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube, right here on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. We forgot to do our word. I'll do that at the top here before for us.
Yeah.
Oh.
Everybody send in your questions for us. We need some questions. This is my Kingsbeat hoodie. I see a couple of people commenting on my hoodie. Go to any of the, I think the Kingsbeat merch shop is in any of the podcast posts. It's at the bottom of it. You can buy them there. It's a great design. It's by Jim at Brickhouse Industries. Bronson, James, is it appropriate to say Merry Christmas? I don't think yet. I don't know. Coffees run low. NBA guru Zach is now making predictions that the Kings will make another quarterfinal appearance for the Cup. How worried should we be about DeMar DeRozan? I think anyone who is 35 years old and starts having back tightness, you should be at least a little bit concerned. But it seems more like a minor thing. It depends. I don't think he's had a history of back issues. I don't know what you're watching over there.
Video my buddy sent me on Instagram.
Oh, I should probably start starring some of these things. What do you got, people? Pick 2. All right. It was funny. I was sitting there getting dressed this morning, and I saw this hoodie sitting in. I'm like, hey, I should throw on that Kingsbeat hoodie. Here I am.
We're dominating.
We are dominating. My team is not doing great. Ooh.
My dynasty team is in full rebuild mode.
Uh-oh.
We're looking to make trades.
Trading for picks. Zabo, come on now. Alex R. Zachary's Reese Sachet. I'm going to go with Reese Sachet, but that's just me. Rico Dowdle. I think Keegan will he needs to find consistency. But overall, I'm not like freaking out about it. It's early. I agree. Time Lord is intriguing. But he's also very injury prone. Come on, Johnny G. Faraz hates defense. Yes, Jared McCain has been awesome.
30 seconds.
Hmm. 30 seconds. Oh, there's Faraz. I see Faraz. I see dead people. Yeah, 20 seconds.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
James Ham there. I'm Kyle Madsen and Faraz Siddiqui in the building. Upper Hand Fantasy, upperhandfantasy.com, the Upper Hand Fantasy on Instagram, and of course the Upper Hand Fantasy podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Faraz, what's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up? Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for popping on as always. I got to make a quick note here. There we go. All right. So here's what we're dealing with. And again, if you want to ask Faraz a question, please hit us up, youtube.com/ESPN1320 and twitch.tv/ESPN1320. We will do our very best to get to all of your questions, but we got a couple of our own questions first that I think will benefit quite a few people. So the Bills just this morning have ruled out tight end Dalton Kincaid. If you have Dalton Kincaid, assuming you don't have a second tight end on your roster, what is the emergency move if you're a team with Dalton Kincaid?
So there are two guys. I think the obvious, guy to look at is Dawson Knox, right? And he's somebody who will be running a high rate of targets. I'm sorry, a high rate, per drop back, I would say. But there's another tight end, man, that is available everywhere, and that's Will Dissly. I'm big on Will Dissly this week. The Chargers going up against the Bengals. By the way, Dawson Knox is a great option too, because the Chiefs, giving up a ton of fantasy points to the tight end position, but so are the Bengals. And believe it or not, this is a crazy stat. Okay, Will Dissly is leading the Chargers in targets per route run, and that's including Ladd McConkey. That's including Quentin Johnston. Yeah, it's crazy. So he is very involved. Last week the Chargers targeted Will Dissly. First read target share over 40%. So Justin Herbert was just looking at Will Dissly the entire game, from the jump and giving him targets. So he is not a full-time tight end. He's running about 65% of dropbacks. But hey, listen, he's being targeted on those plays, and I think this is going to be a high-scoring game between them and the Bengals. I'm really looking forward to this one, especially because the Chargers have become a little bit more fun to watch. They're a little bit more pass-heavy now after the bye. So Justin Herbert versus Joe Burrow, I see it being a high-scoring game. So I do like Dissly in this one.
Have we kind of forgot about Justin Herbert and that team? Because it feels like the running backs early in the season, J.K. Dobbins was so good. But outside of that, there isn't a lot of fantasy interest in that team. But is Herbert a quarterback that you would look at the second half and maybe think, okay, if you could get your hands on him for cheap, he might be one of those guys that really blows up?
Yeah, I mean, him and Russell Wilson are two of my favorite streaming quarterbacks this year. And it's weird talking about Justin Herbert as a streaming quarterback because, when he is he's given the weapons and he's, listen, the previous coaching staff, they weren't trying to win games. They were just saying, hey, how many yards can we put up this week? Like that's literally what they were doing. And now They're a real team. They're a cohesive team, like offense, defense, special teams. They're well coached, and they're doing things a little bit differently. But since the bye, they've actually they've had a positive rate passing rate over expectation, right? Which is not something we've seen before the bye. They were a very, very run heavy team, but since then, Quentin Johnston's healthy, Ladd McConkey's coming into his own, and both of those guys, I like both those guys this week, right? Quentin Johnston actually, if you're looking for maybe a wide receiver 3 or a flex play, he runs more than, I would say, 60% of his routes from the left side, from the left perimeter. And the Bengals have given up the most fantasy points to that side this season. So that's Cam Taylor-Britt, by the way, if you're wondering who that corner is. He's made some crazy interceptions this year, but he's also let up a ton in coverage. So that's a lot right there. But yeah, no, I'm with you, man. Justin Herbert, somebody we've been kind of sleeping on early on, including myself, because I was expecting a very run-heavy team. Greg Roman, right? Harbaugh, right? This is a run-heavy system. But now they're kind of leaning into the pass a little bit.
Faraz Siddiqui, upperhandfantasy.com, answering your questions now at youtube.com/ESPN1320 and twitch.tv/ESPN1320. Are we down on Jags pass catchers / playmakers until Trevor Lawrence comes back?
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing too, because this is a good matchup against the Lions. Like Brian Thomas Jr. against single high coverage. We talked about this multiple times on this show. You want to take advantage of those type of schematic matchups. And the Lions, this is a good one against the Lions. So yeah, man, I was just writing up my start sits for this week, and unfortunately, Brian Thomas is closer to the sit side. I'm tempering expectations on him. Unfortunately, it sucks because he's such a good talent, but the quarterback situation makes me very, very iffy.
Mac Jones, not such a good talent.
No.
Pro Bowler Mac Jones.
Oh no.
Pro Bowler.
Oh, that's horrible. Let's get to some of the questions from the chat here. From Jake. I don't know why I said oh dang, actually. Debo, Higgins, Ridley, or Metcalf. He can only start one. Boy, that's pretty solid 4.
Yeah. I think I'm going Debo here.
League.
This is crazy. Trade some, like, if this is a trade deadline, do something. Trade somebody. Yeah. Trade 2 of these guys for like one like stud, so you never have to make that decision again. Debo, I think I'm going Debo here. It will probably be between Debo and Metcalf, but Debo, he's been underperforming lately. But listen, he's that dude. No Ayuk. I think I'm gonna go with Debo here this week.
Great. Speaking of wide receivers and specifically 49ers wide receivers, I want to ask you about Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall. Is Juwan Jennings, now he showed up as a limited participant on the injury report yesterday with an ankle injury, so that'll be worth monitoring. But if he's good to go, is he like a must start moving forward?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
He is. Like, it was actually like really surprising to me, like how good he was this past week. I'm looking at, I'm pulling up the numbers right now. He led the 49ers with a 32% target share. That's elite, right? Yep. 7 catches, 93 yards on 11 targets, 25% targets per route run for the entire year, right? So it's one of those things where, regardless of his opportunity this year, when he's been on the field, 25% targets per route run, right? Like just look at that number, and that tells you when he's on the field, Brock Purdy's looking for him, and he's earning those targets. I will be honest, I did not think he had X receiver in him, right? We had to line up on the line against press coverage, and he did his thing. He played Ayuk's role. Ayuk's really, really good, man. And like, to play X receiver is not easy, right? So the fact that he was doing that, the fact that after the game, Kyle Shanahan was like, hey, he did his thing, and he's going to have that role the rest of the season. I was like, man, that's a stamp of approval right there. You know what I mean? So I'm in. I'm 100% in. If he's playing this week, I know he got that bum ankle right now, but if he's playing, I'm in.
Dude out there running a 4.8 playing X receiver. That's just insane. Sticking in the Niners receiving core while we're here, Ricky Pearsall worth a start, worth a stash. What are we doing with Ricky Pearsall right now after his first career touchdown?
He's like a boom bust flex play. You know what I mean? He obviously had that long touchdown. He's an athletic player. He's really good. I'm a big fan. I thought he would be the X, to be honest with you, if anybody was going to replace Ayuk. But he's kind of moving around a little bit, playing a little bit slot, playing a little flanker. But it's really going to be, listen, I think it's going to be Debo eating, Kittle eating, and then Jennings eating first, and then obviously Christian McCaffrey, right? So it's going to be tough for Pearsall to really, get a consistent amount of targets per game to the point where you'll be happy with his fantasy output.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I think he should definitely be rostered. And if you're desperate enough, I think he's more of a low end wide receiver 3, but like he has some upside every single week, just because this is the 49ers offense, and there could be a lot of scoring any given week.
Yeah, let's stay with the Pearsall question, because we do in the chat, we have all kinds of people that may or may not want to start him. Let's start with this one by Eric M. Pearsall or Chubb, and I'm intrigued because I want to know what your thoughts are on Chubb.
First of all, that hoodie that you have on, that Kings hoodie, is so fire. It's such a fire Kings hoodie, man. It's so cool. Anyway, I'm sorry, it's so random. I was so distracted. Pearsall or Chubb?
I'll send you one.
Oh, nice.
Cool. That's what I was hoping you would say. Pearsall and Pearsall or Chubb. I'm gonna go. Okay, so if this is a PPR league, I might lean Pearsall just by a hair, just because you probably have a little bit of a higher floor. But I like Chubb's matchup this week. He had 2 tough fantasy matchups against the Ravens and the Chargers before the bye, and now he goes up against New Orleans, who, first of all, they're allowing a ton of fantasy points per game to running backs, but also they're allowing the most yards per carry to running backs. Nick Chubb also had a 70%, 75% rushing share over his last 2 weeks. So he has the backfield in his control at this point. So I'm kind of leaning Chubb here just because he's such a good talent. I'm hoping that this could be his kind of breakout game for this year.
Okay, you're listening to the Insiders here on ESPN 1320. We have Faraz Siddiqui from Upper Hand Fantasy, talking Fantasy Friday. Let's hit a follow-up here with from Johnny G. Faraz, should I roll Pearsall or MVS as my second wide receiver?
In this situation, man, it depends what you need. If you need upside, I think MVS might be the play, only because he's going up against a defense that has given up a ton of 40-plus yard receptions, a ton of 20-plus yard receptions. Like I have it up right here on my screen. Marquez Valdez, they've given up, the Browns have given up the 6th most 40-plus yard receptions, the 5th most 20-plus yard receptions. So the upside is there. Over the last 4 weeks, they've given up the 3rd most fantasy points to wide receivers. So the upside is there for MVS, but you got to keep in mind that his floor is 0. Okay. So he's straight up boom bust. So if you're looking for a little bit of a floor, maybe Pearsall, but if you're looking for that like high upside, go MVS.
Let's stick at wide receiver, where our guy JG. Are you starting Calvin Ridley or Juwan Jennings?
Pretty easily Jennings here, but I think Ridley is a good start this week as well. Like I'm kind of scared. I was initially scared with Brian Flores and his blitzing Will Levis, and that's just a sight nobody wants to see, unless you want to be entertained. But Ridley has actually been better in all metrics this year when they're being blitzed. Targets per route run, target share, yards per route run, all of it. So, Ridley's not a bad start. Just for people who are wondering whether they should put Ridley in their lineup this week, I would say yes. But Juwan Jennings, between those two guys, I would go Juwan Jennings.
Great.
All right, let's hit this one right here from Eric M. again. Man, Eric M. has all kinds of questions today. He's got Higgins. He's got Brian Thomas Jr. He's got Cortland Sutton, David Montgomery. He gets to pick 2. Where are you at with this group? This is an interesting group.
It is. I think Montgomery is definitely in for me just because the Lions are going up against the Jags. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're like 2 touchdown favorites. So this game script just leans heavily in Montgomery's favor. So I'm going to go Montgomery, number 1. And then number 2, I think I'm going to go Higgins. They already called him. They already said that he's going to play this week. I don't know if you guys saw the thread on Twitter on him running up hills. And that at practice, and that's how they determine whether Higgins is going to play or not. You guys have to look it up, by the way. It's Andrew Cooper, and Ian Rappaport just retweeted it today. The whole fantasy community went nuts. Anyway, David Montgomery and T. Higgins would probably be where I'm leaning with this week. By the way, it's interesting. Higgins and Chase have played together this year, Higgins has out-targeted him in every game, which is super interesting.
It's a good thing for Chase fans that Higgins doesn't play very often.
Right. That's true.
I want to bring this up real quick because you were talking about T. Higgins running up these hills, and I would like to bring this up here. There we go. Okay, so this is from Andrew Cooper. So what are we watching for here? So T. Higgins is number 5. He's
Yes.
here in the black jersey. So we're watching for how he approaches the hill. I'm gonna watch.
You see how fast he's running up the hill there?
Yeah.
Right. So that means he's going to play. So if he basically went in every single week, and then he posted a video on how he ran up the hill, and if he didn't run up the hill so well, he was actually out that week. I didn't play, and then when he ran up the hill really fast, he ended up playing. So now we have a clear indicator, and a clear, way to tell whether T. Higgins is going to play any given week. So
this is
real analysis.
Is this one from today? In the rain? And this is how we know that T. Higgins is going to play. Oh my! Jogging up to the hill.
Oh,
let's see.
Oh my! Here we go. Oh, start T. Higgins.
Ooh, that was nice.
Sprinted up that hill. Let's go.
That's hilarious.
Joining us now. Did we get that question answered? Are we good to move on?
True analysis. Yes, we did answer that question. We did.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna pick 2. Word to Panera. Jonathan Taylor, Ramondre Stevenson, or Josh Jacobs.
This was easy for me. I'm gonna go JT and Josh Jacobs.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Easy.
You're not a Ramondre Stevenson fan, are you?
Is it that obvious? I guess it is.
Every time
I like him as a player.
Like, well, that's disgusting. No.
Anyone but Ramondre. I don't care.
Oh, man. That's hilarious. It's kind of true. I do never pick him, but listen, it's more about his situation than him as a player. I'm a fan of him.
All right. Let's get to you're listening to the Insiders here on ESPN 1320. We of course we have Faraz Siddiqui from Upper Hand Fantasy. Faraz, should I start Debo, Shakir, Higgins, or Sutton in a PPR league from Miguel Cervantes?
Miguel, like seriously, like what are we doing here? These are such good options. Like even Shakir, who might not seem like he belongs, he does because he has such a good matchup against the Chiefs. The Chiefs have given up the most fantasy points to slot wide receivers this year. A lot of too high coverage, and Shakir it just goes off in terms of like opportunity, and target share and yards per route run against too high coverage. So Shakir's a great start, but I'm going Debo. I'm going Debo here. It's just really hard. You can't bench Debo, man. It's really hard to.
Right. It feels like the second you bench Debo, it's the game that he's going to go for $110, 30 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, you gotta ride with that. Jacoby Myers or Rico Dowdle? Our guy Miles is dying to know.
Jacoby's had a 25% target share. No, I'm sorry. 32% target share since Devontae Adams has not played this year with the Raiders. So you just kind of can't sit that regardless of the matchup. So going Jacoby Myers here.
I think the Swift Kirk and the Dickers has benched Jacoby Myers. Like,
he was on a bye last week. We just haven't put him back in the lineup.
We have a really solid team.
Yeah, our team's fine. Let me see. This question is from Kyle Madsen. Are you benching Brian Thomas Jr. for Jacoby Myers?
I am.
All right, great.
Oh,
done.
Easy peasy.
Moving on.
Thanks for the question, Kyle.
That's right. Let's get to Tyler Jennings. Harris or Estime for running back 2?
I think I'm going to go Najee here. I know it's a tough matchup against the Ravens, but I am expecting the Broncos to score. I'm sorry, not the Broncos, the Steelers to score. So he could get some opportunity stuff near the goal line. It's just hard for me to start Estime after just after 1 week. And will it be more of a timeshare? I just don't know. I need to see more. I'm a fan of Estime as a prospect, but I think I'm going to lean Najee here just by a hair. And by the way, Jaylen Warren a little banged up as well. He had a back injury. We'll see if he ends up practicing today.
I'm going to hit you with the back-to-back questions here because they both involve Evan Ingram. So we're going to go Evan Ingram or Tucker Kraft from West Side.
We're going to go with, oh man, this is so close. I am going to go with Kraft. Oh, so hard.
So Kraft over Ingram, and then Dawson Knox or Evan Ingram.
I just think of Mac Jones, and like every time I think of Ingram, and I just think of Mac Jones' face. Right. I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Ingram if this is PPR for a safe floor, but otherwise I'll go Knox for a ceiling. That's where I'm leaning here. It's so hard. It's so hard to start Ingram right now.
Feels like the tight end tiers are there's that like second tier where it's just everybody. Like everybody's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
mean Ingram like with Lawrence would be in that like main tier as a tight end
right,
one,
right,
but
right,
like with Mac Jones, like it's just tough. I mean, he did get the targets last week though, so maybe it is worth just starting Mac.
If you want to, if you want to rely on Mac Jones, start Evan Ingram. Go for it.
I guess that's a good way to put it.
Let's get to this one from Sneaky Turtle.
As opposed to the loud turtles out there.
Chase Brown or A-Chain? A-Chain.
I mean, find a way to start both guys. You know what I mean? I'm going to start A-Chan every single week, no matter what. There's only like, I don't know, 1 or 2 running backs I'd rather start over him. So this week. So I'm going to go A-Chan, but like find a way to start Chase Brown, your flex or something. Seriously.
Yeah. Man, A-Chan is so small, but he just like
He's a
super
gangster,
fun
dude.
to watch. Yeah.
So
I
good.
really wanted the 49ers to draft him.
So
alas, here we are. Faraz Siddiqui, Upper Hand Fantasy. A couple more here for you as we wrap up Fantasy Friday. Ramsey wants to know, needs a quarterback. I think he's streaming. Cooper Rush, Mac Jones, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, or Jameis Winston.
Mayo boy Will Levis. I'm gonna go with Jameis here. Going up against New Orleans, a little bit of a revenge game, huh?
Okay.
It would be between him and Anthony Richardson, but Richardson's going up against the Jets. Don't love that. I'm gonna go Jameis.
Great.
Man, Eric M. He's all
Just
over the
dominant today.
Yeah, he's looking for all of
Didn't we
the
ask
help.
this one?
I don't think so. Higgins, Montgomery, or Sutton.
I think he asked this one, but then he just like reduced the options. I think I'm gonna go with David Montgomery and T. Higgins by a hair.
You saw how Higgins ran up that hill, and you're ready to start him.
That's what I'm saying. The fact that after you showed that, because I didn't watch it in such a like I don't in that much detail. I'm gonna move Higgins up my rankings in a couple minutes after this.
That's great. You can credit the insiders 10 a.m. to noon.
I will.
For aggregating that video. Blake Robeson wants to know, should he start Alexander Madison, or Jalen Warren?
Jalen Warren is not practicing today. He's just watching practice from the side. So it doesn't. I don't know if he's going to play. So you got to upgrade Najee a little bit, and I guess you're starting Madison. That's what it looks like, Blake.
Great.
Yeah.
Party on, Blake.
All right, and then we got one more here. I haven't gone back to make sure we haven't added more, but
that's fine. We got to go anyways.
From Harson, we got Demario Douglas, Pearsall, or Mike Williams if Amari Cooper doesn't play.
I think I'm leaning Pearsall here. That's where I'm leaning.
Oops, I didn't mean to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going Pearsall. I think Mike Williams ran like 5 routes last week, and he got that touchdown. So I'm gonna. Well, he is going against the Ravens, right?
But if Amari Cooper plays, you're going Amari Cooper?
Oh, 100%. I'm definitely playing Amari over all these guys. But Mike, I think I'm still going Pearsall. Yeah, I think I am. It's close though.
Last question from our guy Steven Castaneda, and then we'll get you out of here. Wings or burger tonight?
Boneless wings.
Boneless wings.
Oh,
love that. I'm here for a
fire them up. They're trying to fire them up on a Friday. You know what I'm
saying? Dude, I'm here for a boneless wing. You know what? If I'm sitting around at a restaurant and it's like, hey, we're gonna be here for a while, give me the traditional wings and I'll just go to work.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But if I'm writing or doing anything,
that's what I'm saying.
Dude, hit me with the boneless wing. It's just easier to eat.
I totally agree.
Is it just a chicken nugget? Yes, but I'm not anti-chicken nugget here.
You can even use a fork if you are writing, so you don't have to sit there and wipe your hands.
That's what I do. That's what I do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, I'm so
we're on the same page.
Let's go, guys.
That's what I'm
glad we got this. Wing talk here with Faraz Siddiqui every Friday at 10:30 a.m. No, I'm joking. It's Fantasy Friday. Faraz Siddiqui. Upperhandfantasy.com is the website. Follow him on Instagram at Upper Hand Fantasy, and of course the Upper Hand Fantasy podcast. It's an Odyssey podcast, available wherever you get your pods. Faraz, thank you so much for popping on, and we'll talk to you next week, and hopefully bring back some W's.
100%, guys. Take it easy. Good luck today.
Send me your address and your size, and I'll.
Oh man, thank you for bringing that
back
up.
King's
All right,
Pizza.
I got you. I'm so glad you didn't forget. Thanks. Bye, guys.
We got to send him an insider city too, I guess.
I know, we probably do.
All right. Once you have his address, let me know, and I'll jump on the D-Lo and KC website, and we'll get up some stuff.
Okay.
Great.
Oh, that sounds good.
All right. Shout out. And then maybe he'll send us some stuff.
There we go.
I'll rock an Upper Hand Fantasy.
Oh, heck
t-shirt.
yeah, man. Yeah. I'm in.
All right. That's Faraz Siddiqui. Like, you heard where you can find him, upperhandfantasy.com. So much good info, even just on his Instagram. If you didn't get your question answered today, or if a question pops up for you, Or if you can't listen every Friday at 10:30, of course you can subscribe to the James Ham and Kyle Madsen Show podcast wherever you get your podcasts. But you can also check out upperhandfantasy.com and Upperhand Fantasy on Instagram. Tons of good info there.
Oh yeah, he's great on Instagram.
No doubt. All right. We're going to step aside very briefly. When we come back, we'll have more Kings talk for you. The Kings take on the Timberwolves tonight as the NBA Cup begins, and we'll get you ready for Week 11 of the NFL season. The Raiders back in action in Miami against the Dolphins. How does their offense look after a significant change in their coaching staff? And the 49ers in basically a must-win game against the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday. We'll dive into that as well in the second hour. He's James Ham, I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders, and we're sponsored by Jiffy Lube here on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Center.
Oh, Scooter.
Oh, love a chicken thigh, Ramsey.
Anyone, Chiefs defense or trade for the Packers or Texans for the rest of the season? I would never trade for a defense. Kyle is the king of streaming on defense. He streams all of our defenses every week. Defense and kickers. Like Kyle loves to stream.
The key is if like Minnesota, for example, their defense is just good. Like their defense you can just kind of have. But you go look at like, I forget who they played when we picked them up, but then they didn't have a great matchup. But then they played like Jacksonville and Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you want to hang on to them. You just check schedules. If you have the Chiefs defense, like the Chiefs defense is good. I would just start the Chiefs defense every week and forget about it.
Yeah.
Like that's just kind of, yeah, check matchups, check a couple weeks out. You might have to eat shit one week, but if you have a really good couple of matchups come in, it could be helpful.
I'm going to run and grab a new, fill up my coffee.
Okay. We're good. Yep. I am going to save the first hour. I'll be right back, Shotty. Hang on. What? Potty Mouth Kyle is always here. Yeah, dude. Trading defense is insane. Yeah, see, this is just it. Wow, nice job. What did... My man, appreciate you. If it has 4 letters, I'm saying it, dog. I need to be better about it, though. Like, honestly. Hang on. I got to tell you, my writing job is frustrating sometimes. Yes. Yeah. CJ, what in the world? This is my buddy got this for me. He works for the Giants. He got me this when they played at Rickwood Field. And from what I understand, this one wasn't even like for sale.
Oh,
He just got it was given to him. So yeah. I don't know if that's the case or not, but if it is the case, then I like it even more. But yeah. And my favorite part about it is it doesn't have it's the Rickwood Field hat, but it doesn't have a team on it. It just has the MLB logo in the June 2024, but it doesn't have the Giants or the Cardinals on it. Okay, here we go. Hour number 2, that's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen, and we're going to give stuff away right now. Go to ESPN1320.com. We did not give you a Jiffy Lube teamwork play of the game yesterday. It was the Keegan Murray chase down block into is it Keon Ellis 3? Kevin Herter 3? Somebody hit a 3 after a Keegan chase down block.
yeah, I think it was Kevin Herter.
The good news is it doesn't matter who hit the shot, because the Keegan Murray chase down was the crux of our giveaway. Mm-hmm. So you're going to go to ESPN1320.com and you're going to find the contest page and you're going to enter the word block, BLOCK. That's the keyword for today. And you'll be entered to win a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate that will be given away today. So go enter right now. We'll be pulling a winner a little bit later on in the afternoon. Block, BLOCK. Enter that keyword at ESPN1320.com in the Jiffy Lube contest page and enter to win a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate just in time for the holiday driving season. Get the wipers changed, get the brakes changed, make sure your oil's all good.
Tires rotated.
Make
sure your car is like road worthy for the trip.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And get that $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate. My goodness, to cover some of that cost. Again, the keyword block at ESPN1320.com. All right. Where are we at? Want to talk about the 49ers?
Yeah. I say we talk about the 49ers.
All right, we can do that. Here's the deal. I'm not saying this to be dramatic or to I don't know, paint false urgency or whatever.
Okay.
Basically, every game they play, and there's tiers. There's division games, NFC games, and then AFC games. Every division game they play, they need to win moving forward.
Well, yeah, because they've lost. They're 1 and 2, right?
They're 1 and 2 in the division.
Yeah, they're 1 and 2.
And there's a really good chance when you kind of look at the way things are shaping up in the NFC and in the NFC West that like tiebreakers could matter.
Mm-hmm.
The Rams could very much be in the division hunt. The Cardinals could very much be in the division hunt. Well, they all are, but by week 18, and the Seahawks, frankly, could still be there as well.
Yep.
So you're not going to have head-to-head against the Rams or the Cardinals, which means the next tiebreaker down in the division is division record. So stacking up division wins is going to be huge. But then you figure, okay, but what if they don't win the West? The Cardinals have a super soft schedule. Maybe the Cardinals go 12-5 and win the NFC West. Okay, so now you got to go to the wild card where tiebreakers could 100% come into play. Well, if there's no head-to-head, then you go to conference record.
Okay.
And because of their couple of division losses, because of their loss to the Vikings, the 49ers conference record, not great.
3-3.
3-3 in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Not terrible, but bad enough that at this point you have to start winning all of your conference games. So the ideal scenario for the 49ers, if over their final, what do they have? 7 left? They're 6-4?
Yep. They're
5-4.
5-4.
So they have 8 left. Over their final 8 games, the absolute ideal scenario is go 6-2 with losses coming to the Dolphins and Bills.
Okay.
The problem is you got a game against the Lions in there.
Mm-hmm.
Got a game against the Packers in there.
Yep.
There's no margin for error to drop a game like this one against the Seahawks. There's not. They have to win on Sunday.
Yeah, and I think to add to this, if you beat the Seahawks this weekend, the Seahawks are 0-3 in division, are pretty much shot. They're for them to make it to the division out of the division would be nearly impossible. You've got the Cardinals at 2-0 in division. You got the Rams at 2-1 in division. You've got games against each of those teams. You need somebody else to beat the Cardinals to make sure they drop back down to 2 losses. If the 49ers can beat them, that'd give them 1 loss, but you need somebody else in the division to beat them. So, like, making it out of the division, being the NFC West champ isn't that easy.
No.
No. I mean, it's going to be a very, very difficult run here. When do the Cardinals have their bye?
This week.
Okay.
So the 49ers, if they win, it'd be 6-4 and tied for first place in the division.
Okay.
But again, we've talked about this before. The issue that the 49ers run into is they have, after the Seahawks, they have at Packers, at Bills, and then I think it's who's after the Bills? It's the Dolphins are in there, the Lions are in there, they have the Rams again, they have the Cardinals again. Like, their schedule's really, really tough. They have the Bears in there.
Yeah, it's it's Seahawks, at Packers, at Bills, back home for the Bears, home for the Rams, at Miami, versus the Lions at home, and then you finish with at Cardinals.
At Cardinals, yeah. The Cardinals, on the other hand, they're coming out of their bye week. They're at the Seahawks, and they're at the Vikings, and home Seahawks. Then they've got Patriots and Panthers.
Oh.
And then they get Rams and 49ers to close.
Okay.
So it's just, they have a couple of soft games coming up in their schedule. Like, the Cardinals are going to be around, barring, injury, but that's the case for every team. The Rams, I think, are going to be around. I don't think the Rams are bad. I think the Rams are going to be around, or at least in the mix. So this is why smoking those games against the Rams and the Cardinals, and playing as poorly as they did against Minnesota, that's why this is where it comes back to bite them.
Yeah.
They basically need to be perfect moving forward. And they're battling with a Rams team that's getting healthier. They're battling with a Cardinals team that's now won 4 in a row. It's going to be tough, man.
Yeah, I also, the weird thing is they play at Cardinals to finish the season. So that division game where you would love to have, like, give a lot of your starters the week off in the last final game of the season.
Oh,
that ain't happening.
Nope.
No.
Again, barring something insane, the most normal paths to week 18 have that being a must-win game, like a literal must-win game for the 49ers. So,
and the week before against the Lions, it's going to be, your schedule.
I don't think they're winning that game.
Well, let's see who the Lions are at that point and where the Lions hit in their standings at that point, because they could be coasting in.
Have everything wrapped up, man.
Yeah.
Although I don't think you're going to rest your guys for 2 weeks, but the motivation to play might be different, and maybe the 49ers sneak by them. But
yeah,
the Lions to me right now are the class of the NFC by a lot. They remind me of the Celtics in the East last year, where it's like, yeah, there's some teams that, okay, maybe the Bucks get hot, or maybe the Sixers get healthy, or maybe it's the Knicks, or, oh, hey, here come the Pacers. But, like, everybody knows the Celtics are coming out of the East. That's a little bit how the Lions feel right now.
Yeah.
And like you said, lot of football left, but
that's what I would caution. I think there is a ton of football left,
yeah.
and like, we've seen it where teams look like, I mean, look at, was it last season? The Eagles were 10-0, and then 10-1, and then just got thumped.
Yeah, just
totally fell apart.
Yeah, different scenarios for sure. The Eagles coming off that Super Bowl loss and maybe have a head coach that everybody hates, whereas the Lions are rolling and have a head coach everybody loves, and are not coming off a Super Bowl loss.
Yeah,
coming off an NFC title game loss where they feel like they probably should have won. But
no, very true.
That's something we'll monitor, and we'll continue watching. We'll have more NFL week 11 coming up for you. The Raiders also back in action this weekend against the Dolphins. The Dolphins are interesting now because they're in second in the AFC East, and very quietly now they have the Raiders this week, and then they have the Patriots. Then they're at the Packers. Then they get the Jets. Then they're at the Houston. They have the 49ers, and then they get the Browns and Jets to close the year. The Dolphins, kind of interesting.
Yeah, but at 3-6,
yeah,
that's tough, man.
They're 3-6, but a game and a half back of Denver for the final wild card spot.
Isn't that crazy? After the division leaders, so we've got the Bills at 8-2, we've got Pittsburgh, and Baltimore is 7-3. So
yeah, they're the 5 seed.
7-2 for Steelers, 7-3 for Baltimore. Again, the Texans lead their division at 6-4, and then the Chiefs at 9-0. There's only, like, the Chargers at 6-3. Everybody else is like 5-5 or below.
Yeah, Are you super confident the Broncos are holding on to the number 7 seed?
No.
Are you super confident the Colts are gonna go on a run here and secure that?
Mm-mm.
I don't know how we feel about the Bengals. Maybe it's the Bengals make a late season run and just grab that last spot. But it's just not impossible for Miami.
No, that's true. If
you told me after 2 weeks, because I think the Bengals have their bye. Yeah, the Bengals have their bye next week. So if you told me that after next week, the Bengals and Dolphins are tied, I think that's obvious. Yeah. At least it should be if the Dolphins are taking care of business. But the Raiders are, we have talked about this ad nauseum with them for what feels like 2 seasons. They're in a place at 2-7 where they are one of 3 2-7 teams in the AFC. The Jets are at 3-7, the Patriots are at 3-7, and the Jags are at 2-8.
Oof.
This is one of those years where you might finish with 4 wins and like an 8th pick.
Oof. Just lose, baby.
Dude, I know it sucks. I know that is, and look, I have found, and trust me, I grew up rooting for a lot of terrible 49er teams. 2016, perfect example. The 49ers lose to the Rams. Myles Garrett is a 49er right now. But they come back against the Rams. Colin Kaepernick gets a 2-point conversion. It's like, hell yeah. You can't root for your team to lose. Even if it's better for them long term, it's just so hard. So I get it. You're not going to go in actively rooting for them to lose. But if they lose to the Dolphins this weekend, probably better long term.
Yeah, definitely better long term.
Because even if changing quarterbacks coach, changing offensive line coach, changing out the offensive coordinator, even if all of that works, you're not going to the playoffs. And you're probably not, given where Aiden O'Connell is, given where Gardner Minshew is, given where their offensive line and their running game are. It's not like there's a bunch of really high-quality pieces here. Like the 2010 49ers, for example, were not a good team with Mike Singletary as the head coach, but you could see, like, man, there are the foundations of a really good team. Mm-hmm. A lot of effective football players on this team right now. With the Raiders, you don't necessarily see that. And so this is not, hey, last year was the win the games for the vibes season. Mm-hmm. Last year was, okay, fine, win all these games down the stretch, beat the Chiefs without throwing a pass or whatever it was in the second half. Go get those wins, get those vibes. Antonio Pierce is going to be the head coach because then you have something to carry over into the 2024 season. Well, that carryover face planted immediately.
Yes.
It's not there anymore. The vibes wins don't work anymore. You can't do that 2 years in a row. You can do it 1 year, but it needs to carry over. That it hasn't carried over, to me, says, okay, it's time to reset. They brought in Tom Telesco, new GM.
Yep.
And they hired Antonio Pierce. It's not working out. They need a top to bottom, like tear it down to the studs. And the best way to do that is to lose games the rest of the way. So maybe the offensive coaching changes make them look a little better on that side of the ball. But I haven't seen anything that makes me think like, oh, hey, those changes are going to make that's what's going to turn this team around long term. They need to lose.
They need to lose. You don't need to turn it around. I mean, that's the problem. Mm-hmm. So, like, I hope that they choose the right path here. And you don't want to just, again, throw everything away every season.
Right.
But sometimes the best thing for your franchise is to go get that quarterback, to go get that ring. And not only that, but keep in mind that you don't just get the first pick in the first round. You get the first pick in the second round and the third round and the fourth round and the fifth round, sixth round. Mm-hmm. Like that's a big deal. Like every single one of those picks matter. Moving up in every single round matters. And it would just give you so much more flexibility.
Yeah, man. The Raiders right now at 2-7 would pick 5th. Oof. Behind the Giants, who need a quarterback, behind the Titans, who might need a quarterback, behind Cleveland, who need a quarterback.
Oh yeah.
Like you're in a really, really, really tough spot. So I know it sucks, and Raider fan is not going to root for the Raiders to lose, but if they do, it's for the betterment of the team. I at least I feel.
Yeah.
I don't need another year of, hey, got to 6-11.
That dropping from 4 to 13 last season.
Killed them.
Just for vibes, it did. It killed their franchise.
And at the time, I understood it because you want to establish a winning culture and this and that. Okay, but again, it didn't work.
set him back 3 years, 5 years, whatever it did. It set him back.
I respect the try.
Yeah.
I respect it. It didn't work. You gotta do something different this year.
Mhm.
The players aren't going to stop trying. The coaching staff's not going to stop trying. But for the Raiders, if they lose on Sunday, I will be proud of them.
Yeah.
All right. The Sacramento Kings are in action tonight against the Minnesota Timberwolves to open up NBA Cup action. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. And tough game for the Kings, man. It's a game that when we get to our predictions here, I think they win. I think.
Okay.
But Minnesota has a lot of good players. This is a team that was in the conference finals last year. They beat you at home earlier this season. And they are playing with a level of a little bit of desperation here. They've lost 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that if they lose tonight, they're going to be knocked out of the playoffs. But we just saw this last week with the 49ers and the Buccaneers, right? Where the Buccaneers were at 4-5, and it's like, man, they are season potentially on the line here. They're going to scratch and claw and give you everything they've got. I think that's going to be Minnesota tonight. I think they've lost 3 in a row. They've not been playing well. I think there's going to be a little bit of a, hey, look in the mirror. Let's figure this thing out. And you might get really their best punch tonight.
No, I think you very well could get their best punch. I asked Mike Brown about this yesterday at practice. Just, you have 2 teams that are trying to adjust to a major, major change in personnel. And DeMar DeRozan coming on to the Sacramento Kings, and of course, Julius Randle swapping in for Cat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a huge deal. That is not an easy thing to adjust to.
Not at all.
And we're seeing the growing pains. We're seeing the growing pains from both teams. While the Kings have won, they're 7-5, there have been plenty of moments here early in the season where you could see that it's not functioning at the highest level because they don't know each other yet. And it doesn't matter how many points DeMar DeRozan's scoring, but like, what is the overall feel of the team? And
Mm-hmm.
and are they doing things like moving the ball?
Mm-hmm.
You see the Kings without DeMar DeRozan for a good portion of the game last time out, and they had 38 assists.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, their franchise record's like 41, right?
42.
Like that's an incredible number of assists. And sure, they hit their shots, but also the ball moved. It like the offense felt free. And that's not to say that it feels like totally messed up with DeMar DeRozan, but there's just a different feel. When DeMar DeRozan's there, it feels like it's De'Aaron Fox, DeMar DeRozan, and Domantas Sabonis. And those are like the 3 horses of the apocalypse for you, right? When it's not, when you take DeRozan out, all of a sudden it looked like last year's Kings, 2 years ago Kings. The ball is hopping. Keegan Murray's huge. Kevin Huerter has a big game. Trey Lyles wakes up. So like you got to figure that out, and that's the same thing Minnesota's going through with Julius Randle. You have to figure out how these pieces work together. Maybe they don't work together, but at the same time, you have to like pick and choose your spots to sort of tweak and tinker with what you're trying to do and see if you can make it all blend together.
Yeah, finding that happy medium between what DeMar DeRozan does offensively and the Kings being the Kings offensively is what the entire 82-game season's about. I believe the Kings are good enough and have enough talent to make the playoffs. 51-31, I'm still there. To make the playoffs and be a top 6 team right now and just kind of doing what they're doing. But I think to maximize what they're doing, it's what you just talked about. Finding out how to integrate DeMar DeRozan and having what he brings in that ISO scoring mid-range game where he's going to take the ball, clear out, and he's going to hit a tough shot. Matching that with the version of the Kings that's 30-plus assists a night. That's what the entire year's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's trying to find that perfect balance, and it's not going to happen in the first 12 games of the season.
Yep. Yeah. It's definitely not. And it's not going to happen if he doesn't play. So with that, let's get to our keys to a Kings victory tonight in the opening round, the opening group stage game of the NBA Cup. James, what is your first key to a Kings victory?
My first key is don't back down from Gobert. Like to be honest, I didn't really care for the way that the Kings handled Victor Wembanyama. I thought that he had some blocks, but I think he's a player you just have to keep like figuring out ways to go at him. Maybe don't back down and try to pump fake and try to get through, get a shot over him that way. Go forceful to the rim. Gobert is, he's a very, very good defensive player. Was he 4-time defensive player of the year in the NBA?
Yeah.
But Sabonis has an ability to get into his chest and push him out of the way. And the rest of this team, they need to attack. They need to attack the rim. Get Gobert in foul trouble. Get him out of the game. Make them make adjustments. Or don't get him in foul trouble, but just keep going at him, because I think the Minnesota Timberwolves are a better team with Naz Reid on the floor than I do with Gobert. And so I'm just not going to shy away because there's a 7'2" Frenchman ready to maybe block a shot. But like the Kings are very good going to the rim. They need to keep attacking. Yeah,
man. Rudy Gobert is a really good player, but that can't derail everything you're trying to do in the paint.
Yeah.
It just can't. And if it does, then you're gonna have a bad night. That's just kind of it.
Yeah.
They figured it out on opening night at Golden One Center. They score 115 points. I would like to see that again.
Yeah. And remember last year they were historically good defensively.
Yep. Key number one for me, have more stars, man.
Oh.
The Kings have more star players than the Timberwolves do. The Timberwolves have a lot of good players. Don't get it twisted. I think the Timberwolves are going to make the playoffs. But De'Aaron Fox, Anthony Edwards, Keegan Murray, not Keegan Murray yet, Domantas Sabonis, Rudy Gobert, DeMar DeRozan, if he plays, Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah.
Naz Reid.
I mean, Naz Reid is a really good player. I don't know. You can't let
your stars need to be better than their stars.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And I think your stars are more like seasoned veteran star level players. Like, they're more consistent as far, again, Julius Randle can be a star one night, but other nights he's not. Sabonis is a star every night. The way he fills a stat sheet is crazy. De'Aaron Fox can be a star. De'Aaron Fox can match Anthony Edwards.
I agree.
And then from there, it's like, can Keegan step up? Can you not allow Naz Reid to look like a superstar? Because this team has done that. And hey, Naz Reid is playing really well. I think he's coming off a 28-point performance.
Number 2.
That's my next key is Trey Lyles versus Naz Reid. Trey Lyles has played very well the last 3 games. You're seeing the momentum building. You're seeing the smile come back to his face. You're seeing him move better after the groin injury. And I think he really is like stepping back into who he was last year.
Yeah.
But now he's faced with one of the most difficult, he's like 6 men in the league.
Yep.
So Minnesota struck gold with this pick. And I think this is going to be a huge matchup for the Kings.
Yeah, he's not going to negate him, right? Trey Lyles is not going to shut down Naz Reid, but can you limit his impact a little?
Yeah, can you get outscored 16-13 and match him rebound-wise?
Sure. Yeah, something along those lines.
Neutralize his numbers.
Yep. Number 2 for me, let Julius Randle shoot it, man. Like, I know he went 5 for 6 from 3, and that's at first.
Every time we say this.
If he goes 3 for 3, okay, then guard him differently.
Yep.
But he went 5 for 6 against the Kings. Since then, he has not made more than 3 threes in a game. And he is shooting 31.7% since that game from beyond the arc. If he wants to step out there and not use his size and take advantage of his size to get in the paint against the Kings, fine. Go for it, man. But again, if he hits his first 3,
yeah,
okay, then maybe do something different. But until that, I'm going to make him prove it. Number 3.
Don't let them bust you up from long range. This team is 29th in the league in 2-point attempts. They don't shoot a lot of 2s. They're going to shoot a lot of 3s. So you need to know coming in that this is going to be like the Suns, where the Suns shot 57 threes against you one game. It was an overtime game, but still 57 threes is bonkers.
Yeah,
like this team loves to shoot the 3. Defend it. Like Gobert in the pick and roll. Okay, that's just not that dangerous.
If they want to run their offense to Rudy Gobert, freaking go for it, man.
Oh yeah.
Fine.
Yeah,
they just don't have that many guys. Anthony Edwards is unbelievable. I can't say enough good things about Anthony Edwards. Outside of that, they don't have a lot of guys that I'm scared of off the dribble.
No,
that are just going to be playmakers, like put the ball on the deck and go. Like Nickeil Alexander-Walker's just like catch and shoot.
catch and shoot, like
That's-
nonstop. And
that's a-
Dante DiVincenzo, catch and shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And like these guys are just, they hoist a ton of threes.
I'm terrified of a Dante DiVincenzo huge game, by the way.
Yeah.
He's what 3 of 17 in his last 3 games from 3.
Yeah.
He's due for like an 8 of 10 night.
Well, that
That's
and he
terrifying.
loves playing the Kings.
Yeah.
Like he loves to try to stick it to him.
Last one quickly here. Maybe don't try Jaden McDaniels in key possessions. I don't know. DeMar DeRozan did that like 4 possessions in a row last time they played, where he just went at Jaden McDaniels and Jaden McDaniels just ate his lunch. Like, he's a really good defender.
No, he's a great defender, but you're better attacking him with speed
Yes.
than you are a methodical ISO.
Yes.
Like if you're thinking you're going to back him down or something, you're mistaken because he is long as hell.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. I think the Kings win 107-104.
Ooh.
I got a good game tonight.
I'm going to go 113-109 Kings.
Right on. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. One more hoops coming up for you on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. We are sponsored by Jiffy Lube. I did not get a... Yeah, that was kind of wild.
What?
You said he's a long dude.
Oh. He is. Who was it that asked about
Oh, hell yeah.
triple XL sweatshirts? Hang on. Go ahead. Scooter, if you buy a sweatshirt, just send me an email and I can adjust size. So just buy a double and then send me an email. Cool.
I want to answer Katrina's question, but I need to cut something real quick.
Which one is Katrina's question?
This one.
Oh, which would you take? Steph with 37.5 points, rebounds, and assists, or Wemby with 40.5? Wemby's coming off the 50 piece. I mean, his last game was 60 something, right? No, it's probably closer to 70.
Who do the Warriors have tonight?
Yeah, who do the Warriors play?
Oh, it's Memphis. No Ja, no Bane.
Oh, really?
I would go Wemby because I would be terrified of the Warriors' emotional letdown game.
Yeah, but I feel the same with Wemby. Wemby's playing the Lakers. Oh, against AD.
Might go less than 40.5 on Wemby. But if you take a less on Wemby, you feel dumb if you don't hit it.
Yeah, man, he is rolling though. Man, that is a really, really good question, Katrina. I think it's still Wemby. I would take Wemby. What is Wemby averaging assist wise? 3.7. So he's 22-3, 10.2. So that gets you to 32 and then 2.7. Ooh. No, I think I'm taking Steph. Or I might avoid that completely. Both of those. Those are really tough.
Yeah. Unless you're absolutely you want to do you're just like, this is my thing. I want to pick one of these two players.
Yeah.
I
would take Nickeil Alexander-Walker at he's probably like a 8.5 and take the over.
Oh shoot. Oh, less is okay, more is not. Okay, we're good. Okay. I thought I messed up.
I agree. His last 2 games were 54 and 58, but he's also going up against Anthony Davis, who's one of the great defenders in the league. Yeah, Scooter, that works.
Also, I saw people saying that the tanking conversation is whack, and I totally understand. Every team should try and win every game. I couldn't agree more. I just mean more from a, like, they need a kind of tear it down rebuild And if they lose, it's not necessarily a bad thing. And I know it sucks, and I know that the point of sports is winning. But
I got your email, Scooter.
I think I'd go more on Steph. I think there's just less. But man, I don't know.
Yeah, that's tough.
I think no. I don't know. I'm gonna have to keep thinking about it.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
James there, Kyle here. Get some Week 11 NFL action for you tomorrow. Sunday. Starts Sunday. I almost said tonight. There's no Week 4 NFL action tonight. Week 11 NFL action tonight. My God, my brain's not working. You can tell it's Friday. You can tell it's Friday, and I've been sleep deprived all week.
Yeah.
Because I can't figure out that it's Week 11 of the NFL season.
When do we have games? We don't have
Sunday.
Yeah, they're all Sunday.
Yeah, that's why I don't know why I said tomorrow.
You're like throwing me off here, man.
No, that's my. No, I know. I'm thrown off. I'm throwing you off. I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached to my shoulders.
Yeah.
Mitch, if you want to call in, the Elk Grove Kia talk line is 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. I can always tell when I've forgotten to turn the phones on because it's so far down the list of things to do for me. I actually turned the phones on. I just did not have it on the correct page where I can answer it on the fly.
Oh.
And of course, I get my daily text from Mitch in New Jersey making some snide comment about how I have not answered his phone call.
Well,
because that's apparently my only priority here. So go ahead, Mitch. We'll wait. 916-909-1320. Anyways. I want to look at the NBA playoff picture.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to, you know what? I was going to do this for the East and the West. I'm punting the East into Narnia. I don't want the East will come up. We'll talk about Eastern Conference teams, but as far as what the playoff picture looks like, I am sending this so far away. Cavs 1, Celtics 2, Magic 3, Knicks 4, Pacers 5. Fine. But then Bulls 6, Hawks 7, Nets 8, Heat 9, Pistons 10.
Ooh.
I'm out, bro.
Yeah, the whole entire Eastern Conference is just a mess.
I am out.
Yeah. I mean, how is Orlando? Here we go. Like, we keep talking about this, but the Eastern Conference has 3 teams over 500, and they don't have another team at 500 now. So Orlando has taken the big leap, and they are now 7-6. It's the same Orlando Magic that lost their superstar, young power forward, Paolo Banchero.
Yeah.
Long term. Lost him, who knows, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
But that's the team who's been able to rise to the top.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's impressive. But
7-6.
Yeah, but like, where are these other teams? What are the Knicks doing? What are the Knicks doing at sub 500? What about the Indiana Pacers and all the vibes from last year? They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, where are they?
Because Tyrese Halliburton is having a rough go.
Turn into a pumpkin?
He might be a pumpkin.
Oh no.
He
Not
might
Ty.
be Tyrese Halipumpkin.
Tyrese Halipumpkin.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's not very gourd. But no, like the Bucks, maybe the Bucks climb up, maybe the 76ers. Hey, the Sixers are 2-9. At what point do they look like if they continue to struggle? Like what's the line of demarcation between this is the East, we need to win 40 games to make the play-in, and hey, Joel Embiid is very clearly dealing with some injury stuff again. Let's shut him down for the year because we just signed him to a massive extension. What'd you say he's going to make in the 2028-29 season?
Oh, it was so much, Kyle.
Like $67 million?
Yeah, it's something like 67
right. So
million.
you're trying to figure out how to get, and right after we had a couple of people in the chat, salute to Matt and Scooter who don't like the tanking conversation. We're going to bring it up again. Sorry, boys. The 76ers, what's the line where they're bad for long enough that they go, okay, Joel, sit for the year, get healthy, get right, get in shape, get whatever procedure you need done, get it out of the way and focus on next October. Paul George just signed you to a big contract. You're dealing with some injury stuff. We'll play you when you want to play, but you know what? Hey, if you're not feeling it and you need to sit a week, fine, whatever. Tyrese Maxey, go out there and be awesome. Because the Cooper flag conversation is there.
I don't know, because look, after this season, the 76ers owe Joel Embiid like $240 million.
After this season.
When in the 2028-29 season, he will make $67,263,472.
That is 3 seasons after this season.
Yes.
So he has to get through this season and then 3 more years.
And he turns 31 this season. So we're talking 32, 33, 34, 35, 35-year-old season. He's making over $67 million. Like, I don't know what the answer is for Embiid. And I certainly know the league is not going to allow it. Like, they're already investigating the 76ers for not playing these guys. So what do you do? Like, how do you shut him down in a way that, like, unless he does need surgery on something?
Sure.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how you shut him down, but I also look at the Eastern Conference and say, look, they go on a 3-game win streak, and it's possible they're the 4 seed.
Right. And that's what, dude, that's the thing. And I say this, I asked the Cooper flag thing half tongue in cheek, because, hey, talk yourself into it. Hey, go get Cooper flag, put him with Joel Embiid and Paul George and Tyrese Maxey. Okay, now you got a title contender. But I think the Heat or not the Heat, but the 76ers just have too much talent, and the East is too bad that they're ever going to be that bad.
Yeah.
They're going to have to, you are going to have to be abominable in the East to get into Cooper flag range. And that doesn't even count the Jazz and the Pelicans and the Blazers and all the teams we expect to be bad in the West.
Well, even the teams we expect to be bad in the West, I mean, the Pelicans at 3-9, the Pelicans could get healthy and figure it out, yeah. Right? And the Jazz, they still have talent, and they just won 2 in a row against Minnesota.
Good point.
So
the Blazers did.
Yeah. Oh no, you're right. You're right.
But they're 5-8.
I think Utah beat someone last night, though.
The Mavs.
Yeah, and the Mavs. We're
supposed to talk about Lucas D, I guess.
Yeah, they're 5-7. There's no way that the Mavs are a team that's going to finish below 500.
No.
Yeah, so like the problem that you have in the Western Conference is if you start to fall out, you know very quickly that number one, it doesn't really help you to fall out because there's so many bad teams in the East that when we get to the end of the season, there are going to be a lot of 30-win teams in the East. Yeah. There could be a 35-win team that makes the playoffs. That bad. And we laugh, but it wasn't that long ago the Western Conference had a couple of teams that were around that range that made the playoffs. Yeah. I mean, under Luke Walton, the Kings had 33 wins in a 72-game season and missed the playoffs by 2 games. Yeah. So, like, a normal 37-win team made the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what the answer is, but there's certainly a lot of Western Conference teams that I'm looking at. I'm like, I don't know how you sustain this, and I don't know how you sustain it because everybody else in the West is so good.
Right. So that's where, and so many teams in the West, it's it's not like the Bulls sitting at 5-7. I feel pretty good that the Bulls aren't going to be the 6th seed in the East. I feel pretty good they're going to fall out.
Yeah. At least fall a bit.
The Hawks is the number 7 seed, probably going to fall down from there. The Nets is the number 8, and probably going to fall. But here in the West, I could be kind of talked into everything. Oklahoma City is the number 1 seed. They're 10-2. They're 2-0 since Chet Holmgren went down.
Oh.
They're 10-2 and the number 1 seed. I think that's sustainable. I think the Thunder are very good and could win. Could be the number 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Warriors currently 9-2, the number 2 seed. I don't know if they'll stay at the number 2 seed the entire year, but they look good enough and they look deep enough that if they can keep Steph Curry and Draymond Green on the court, that they could stick in the top 6.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix, same deal. How healthy can they be? How healthy can they stay?
Well, I think Phoenix is already dealing with it, right?
Yeah.
And this is what you're always worried about. It's Phoenix is a legitimate 2-3 seed talent-wise, but when it comes to the injuries, and it's not like they have predictable injuries. Like, that Bradley Beal isn't going to play more than 60 games.
No doubt.
That Kevin Durant isn't going to play more than maybe 65 games. There's even Devin Booker throughout his career has missed 10, 12, 15 games a year. So you're looking at a team that, like, you can project how many losses they will have based on injury concerns. And so it's what drops them from a team that's a 2-3 seed to a 5, 6, 7.
Mm-hmm.
And, they hope that they can avoid the 7, so they're still a playoff team. But when they get to the playoffs, if they're healthy, they're going to be a team that can get out of the West as well as anyone else.
So the Nuggets are the number 4 seed. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Maybe Nikola Jokic is just that dude. And maybe he is. He's 3-time MVP. He's amazing.
Yes.
But maybe he's just going to average 30 and 30, 14, and 12 that he's averaging right now?
Yeah. He leads the league in assists and rebounds. And he's averaging 29-7.
Maybe he just does that all year. I'm a little skeptical, though. I'm a little skeptical of that formula. But hey, who knows? Aaron Gordon comes back. Jamal Murray gets healthy and gets right. Maybe the Nuggets are. So yeah, you could talk me into the Nuggets being top 6, and I think they will be. I don't think the Rockets finish as a top 6 team. They're the first team that I'm taking out that's currently in.
No, I'm with you. I think talent-wise, like I said it before the season, I think that they're the most talented young collection of talent of players in the NBA. Like, even more, I think more talent than OKC. I just think they're like 2 years behind OKC as far as development. I just think the level of talent is incredible. Go position by position, and you're like, oh man. I mean, they've got young players that could be stars, and they're stacked up at positions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think like Shepard can be a superstar, but the fact that I think he could be a top tier NBA point guard. Green. You just keep going position by position. Jabari. You got one of the Thompson twins. You've got Alperen Şengün, and then there's this other layer, the Cam Whitmores of the world. They have so much talent.
Crazy.
That Tari Eason, really, really talented.
Yeah,
players.
really good player.
But they're probably 2 years away.
Still figuring it out, yeah.
But we thought this about OKC. OKC took the leap last year, which was like, holy cow. The leap they took from the year before, we thought that there was a step in between.
Yeah.
And they skipped way ahead.
Yeah.
And now OKC has cemented himself up here. There's nothing to say that Houston won't do the same thing. They've got the talent level. Now, what do? Can they sustain it?
Mm-hmm.
And they're also built with so many young players behind, again, and veterans. They've got good veterans, but
that was the key. There was the Fred VanVleet, even Dylan Brooks,
and then Steven Adams.
Yeah, bringing those guys in, I thought was really helpful for them.
Yeah, they're deep.
I like the Rockets a lot. I think they're still figuring it out, though. I don't think they finished top 6. Same deal with the Lakers. Lakers are currently the 6th seed. I don't think they finished there.
No, not when you're relying on a 40-year-old LeBron James to play. Lake Show, 38 minutes a game. Is that my read?
That's you.
Yeah,
that's you doing a Kenny Caraway impression. Speaking of Kenny Caraway, it is time for the handoff. Kenny Caraway in the building. We're talking about the Western Conference and teams that are currently in the top 6 that may not wind up in the top 6.
Okay.
And it feels like the top 4 right now are well positioned to stay in the top 6. That's Thunder, Warriors, Suns, Nuggets.
Okay.
You agree with that?
Nuggets, I'm not. They played well. They played better than I probably thought they would, but I'm not ready to just concede that they'll be a top 16.
Do you know what Nikola Jokic's numbers are this year?
Something stupid.
30, 14, and 12.
Something stupid.
Something stupid.
He's leading the NBA in assists and rebounds.
That's what he does. That's why he's the best player in the game. But
You're just dragging them along right now.
Yeah, and we're like, just like anything else, right? Like we could talk about the Kings minutes and all this other stuff. Is that sustainable?
That's exactly where I'm at.
Is Jokic going to be able to do? He can. He's capable. But like, how efficient is that going to be for him to do that for another 6 months or so?
Right. That's the question. But I still feel okay about once Aaron Gordon comes back. I think they're championship tested. They have a good coach. Jamal Murray gets right. Aaron Gordon comes back. I think they're a top 6 team by the time April rolls around. The Rockets, James and I both think they're really good. Maybe make top 8 via the play-in, but I don't think they're a top 6 team.
They're borderline. They're borderline.
They're really
good team. That's a really good team. They're young. They're well coached. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were top 6, but like you, I'm not going to put them in pin.
And this is where kind of the conversation started. It's like you could talk me into or out of almost every team in the top 6 right now of staying in the top 6.
Yeah, for sure.
There's and then the Lakers are the last one. I
don't see it.
I don't think they're deep enough.
I think 4 through.
So Memphis is 7.
Okay.
I'm gonna get wherever you land here. Let me know. Memphis 7, Kings 8, Clippers 9.
I could see them falling back.
Yep. Spurs 10.
I definitely see them falling back.
Minnesota's 11.
I'm swapping out Minnesota and Dallas for the Clippers and the Spurs.
Okay.
I'm gonna show respect.
So they're in the top 10. Okay.
I think
Minnesota finishes in the top 6.
Starting to feel. Jesse was on that early. Jesse was like, they're not a top 16. And we were like, you bugging. And
I thought they could take a step back. I didn't think they would take a step back this far. Yeah. We keep getting asked to in the chat about DeMar DeRozan. First of all, DeMar DeRozan is still listed as doubtful. He's listed as doubtful on the 11:30 injury update. But also, when a player gets hurt, we don't get to talk to him on the night of a game. They had practice yesterday. He was getting treatment while media was talking, so there was no way for him to come out and talk to us. And either way, he doesn't have to talk to the media every day, and he also doesn't have to talk to media when he has an injury. And so no one will talk to him until maybe in pregame tonight, and that's if he decides to show up in the locker room. If he's not going to play, we're not going to get to talk to him, which means that we will not have a day where we actually get to ask DeMar DeRozan the question. So it's
Great.
not that someone's not doing their job. Just want to make sure you understand like the process.
Yeah, injured players don't typically talk to the media.
No.
Yeah.
What I was going to say about the Western Conference, I think like 4 through 9 is going to be separated by 3 games.
Yep.
I think it's going to be
right there with
one of the craziest races we've seen.
Like last season,
top 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, even more though, because I'm thinking 4 and 5. The Mavericks and the Clippers had separated themselves a little bit from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think it's going to go all the way up to 4. Like I think that cluster is going to be 4. It might even be 3. Might even be all the way up to 3 to 9. It's going to separate themselves by like 4 games max.
Yeah.
So last season, the 4 seed was 51 wins, and the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seed was 46. 5 games separated. Yeah. And that's where the Kings went
that's exactly
from
where it's going again this year.
6 all the way down to 9.
Yeah.
Like that quick because of the injuries at the end of the season. That's why everyone's like, well, if they didn't have injuries, all it took was 2 more wins and you're the 6th seed.
Go ahead, Kyle.
And that's why there's so much urgency to me on games like Phoenix and games like Minnesota. Because A, those head-to-head matchups might matter in tiebreakers, but B, like just getting wins over those teams. It's like that's one more win for you and one more loss for them come the end of the year when, like you guys just said, the 3 and 10 seeds might be separated by 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
Well, that and even Minnesota tonight, if you lose this game, you only play them 3 times. If you lose this game tonight, you've lost the season series.
Yeah, good point.
So like if you win this game, now you're tied and you've got a game in like a week and a half against them for all the marbles. But that's still, it's a big deal. Every single one of these games is a big deal.
I talked about this over the summer. You guys might have noticed this about me. I'm not really a rush to judgment type thing. I'd rather be sure of how I'm feeling than to be early, right?
Oh, I'm not opposite.
Jake Moody. Like I've given Jake
Jake
Moody the whole year. People last year after the first preseason kick was like, this guy's no good. Give him time. Sunday, I was like, no, it's time for him to go.
It gets a little dark outside, and Kenny's wearing like,
oh no,
like
we gotta be
rushed. He's rushed to the weather.
We got to be outside tonight, and it is freezing. I get cold easily. But I say all this to say,
I'm gonna be outside tonight too.
Hey, let's go.
Fired up.
For the last, what is this, 2024? For the last 20, almost 25 years, people have been saying we need to do something about the playoffs because the Eastern Western Conference thing ain't really working. And I'm like, nah, like it'll come back around. Like the East will, it's ebbs and flows, ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
25 straight years of this. They need to do something now. The East is never going to get on the same level. This is ridiculous.
The Celtics finished 13 games above the second place team. And that's because
they're so unserious.
It's because they play all of their Eastern Conference opponents at least 3 times and most of them 4.
Nah, they need to do something with the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're like Eastern Western Conference ain't gonna work no more.
The 5 and 7 Dallas Mavericks are the 12 seed in the West. They would be tied for the 6th seed in the East.
Oh my goodness. Is the 3 seed still 500 in the East?
No, a game over. Shout out to the Orlando Magic at 7 and 6. But the 4 seed, a game under, 5 and 6.
Yeah, they gotta do something, man. It's time now. It's time. They won't, but it's time.
We also, real quick, we have from our friend Sean Cunningham from Fox 40. DeMar DeRozan is still listed as doubtful and did not participate in the Kings morning shoot around. That's not a good sign for him playing tonight.
Still think the Kings, but this is where I still like DeMar DeRozan's a very good, impactful player, but this is a game that the Kings still need to, and I think should go win.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah.
I want 30 plus assists.
Man, it'd be big if they get
that's my 4th key to victory. 30 plus assists.
There it is.
I would love that. Kenny, what do you guys got coming up on D'Lo and Casey?
Kyle Madsen joining us on D'Lo and Casey. James Ham joining us on D'Lo
I'm with you the whole show today.
Oh, that's how we doing it?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Oh, let's go. But yeah, we talking Kings. We talking Niners. We talking Luka. All right, man. Yeah, yeah, that's funny. All right. Yeah.
Can't wait. D'Lo and KC coming up next. For James Ham, I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. We are back with you at 4 o'clock tonight for the Purple and Black pregame show. But then the Insiders will be back with you on Monday at 10 a.m. right here on ESPN 1320. Until then, drink water every night, people.